Matrix on the screen, healthcare in between. Physics, art, and math got us down this path. Historical tales come alive, where science and stories dive. Blended facts with heart, knowledge from the start. Need bridge blues we sing to the future memory. Health and science in the mix. Matrix got the fix. Complex subjects make
right
clear
now
every episode
in ways that we actually acquire the
leads the way.
and ways that make me more efficient.
In the world of digital streams, turning knowledge into dreams. Through the tales of old, new stories unfold.
Thank you so much for joining with me. It is truly an honor and a privilege.
MedBix Webcast is a new kind of healthcare media channel to break the silo mentality and foster interdisciplinary thinking. Our mission is to fill that gap and to create a curiosity through different lenses, tapping the passion that guided the historical figures in medicine and bringing present-day groundbreaking research to the front lines. We interview physicians and leaders in the industry about present-day healthcare challenges on our live programming.
Hey, welcome to the MedBix West. Let me turn off the music. Yeah. Welcome to the MedBix Webcast. This is Raman Raju. I'm the host. You know, that's the music that I was playing is by Yanni. Is a Greek musician. He played in front of Taj Mahal. Is a memorial built by king for his deceased wife, in memory of deceased wife. So this is a good friend of mine. She was a background singer, Alfreda her name. Hi, Alfreda. But anyway, I have a guest coming up. You know, this is very interesting. Is my favorite guest, and she has been supporter of this MedBix for a long time. Well, when I never had I didn't have even guests at the time. I was trying to recruit everybody. She was glad to come, and our webcast grew up big time. Thank you for all, and thank you for Susan, the upcoming guest. Actually, let me tell you, she's a warrior. You know, she survived 3 hurricanes, and then she lost her house, and she's been staying in Airbnb and different places like a nomad for a while. And then she lost her car, you know. So, you know, I'm in Silicon Valley. Actually, I broadcast from. I just moved to I came on a business trip to LA. I can't even. I'm a jittery because I don't have all my stuff here. So think about that. She stayed like a month outside and then going dedication. You know, she's a kind of with all these things going on, she went on to work, and then she really a dedicated nurse, doctor of nursing practice she is. And then she was a really warrior in that sense. You know, people like her, there's a healthcare. We need to heads off. Let me bring her to the podcast. Let me welcome to the MedBix Webcast, Susan. You're my favorite guest.
Thank you, Ramana. You're my favorite podcast host, so it's a perfect match.
Yeah, good. I was telling you what kind of things you went through. Just tell us a little bit your journey with all the, you know, every time we have a lot of new people are watching, so they don't know much about what you went through. Just so you can run down a little bit quickly, if you can tell me what went on in your life.
You always bring up the hurricane stories.
Yeah.
All right, so for your listeners who don't know me, hello, I'm Dr. Susan Davis. I am coming to you live from sunny Southwest Florida, and it just so happens to be an area that it has a bullseye on it. Hopefully not this season. For hurricanes. So in the last, I guess, 3 years, I've been directly hit by 3 hurricanes. The first one, Ian, heavy duty wind, a lot of outside structures, lost trees and roofs and the normal stuff. And then last fall, we had back to back. We had 2 back to back, and there were massive amounts of flooding. And in the floods, my whole house. This is 2.0. I'm actually back in. This is my She Shed Deluxe, I like to call it, which is where my office is, and it's right on the water. So I took in like 4 feet of water within 2 weeks twice. And so this place got taken down to the studs, and everything was gone. So I was out for about 6 months, but no worries, back in action, down here in Southwest Florida, taking names and numbers.
Yeah, you forget to mention one thing. You also raise cattle, right? You know, you have a lot of yeah.
And the cattle and the horses, they tend to do really, really well, and stuff like that. So yeah, we do have cattle and horses. Lightning tends to be the biggest problem for them. Frequently, you'll lose a patch of them due to lightning, but the hurricanes, they tend to do just fine.
Oh, very good. So let me ask you a question. Then your regular job, RescueRN. You're a founder of a RescueRN. Tell us a little bit about the RescueRN. What do you do in the RescueRN situations?
Okay, so let me see. RescueRN was created a handful of years ago. I have 2 signature programs. FYI, I am a critical care nurse with a background in emergency and trauma. I also have my medic license, so I've done some teaching in paramedic programs as well as in nursing leadership. So over the years, I found an affinity towards resuscitation science. And in that time frame, I created a program that I felt really filled the gap in resuscitation education as it stands, for the last, 800 years, and even still today, primarily in that the gap is between our foundational knowledge that we have and then where the rubber hits the road. So often we don't get time to practice with our team members or our equipment, especially not in the areas where we are going to be seeing patients, or frankly in your living room or even at the airport or wherever you go, the soccer field. They don't feel like we're prepared. So RescueRN is the name of my business, and my 2 signature programs are CodePRep and Reaction Ready. Reaction Ready is it's a custom CodePRep class that was made specifically for imaging areas. So CT, MR, sonography, and the like, anywhere that contrast media may or may not be used, where the opportunity for anaphylaxis, to arrest is 5 minutes or less. Training those people in their environment. So RescueRN is my business, and CodePRep and Reaction Ready are my signature programs.
Let us. I'm very familiar with the second part of it. First part of it, I will ask you about the questions about the contrast media. I used to run an imaging center, so I know about it.
I remember in Georgia, right? In Atlanta.
In Atlanta, and then California also. I was very involved in the PET CT scan and all those things. But let me ask you a question on the RescueRN. A lot of times there is a people go to the emergency rooms. They go. And what goes on behind the scenes? Tell us a little bit, run down the behind the scenes. As somebody with a heart problem, heart attack comes there, or cardiac arrest comes there. What goes through a regular emergency room? People say in the movies, I see code blue, this and that. Really, what is real scene that you coming from you? How much it is movies? How much it is real? How much it is practical things to do?
Well, in the movies, it usually makes anyone who has been in emergency medicine, they get a good laugh out of just about any show that you've ever seen on TV. But, it's really a good question. And I can't answer it specifically for the emergency room, because I think the thing that I'd like to, in response to your question, I feel like the American Heart and ILCOR, they went to a lot of trouble to put together the top 10 ways to improve in-hospital cardiac arrest. And in so doing, they make a big point that says that cardiac arrest response is not a one-size-fits-all science by a long shot. And so when you ask, what does it look like in the emergency room? Well, I could give you that answer. And you know what? It's down and dirty in the emergency room. People are coming in hot with cardiac arrest from our fantastic colleagues, EMS, who really use cardiac arrest training response as their rock stars. And then they bring them into the emergency room, and they're waiting for it. They're ready for it. Now, that doesn't mean that they have it down like the top rock stars in the world. But what my point would be then, cardiac arrest looks different in the emergency room as it does in the ICU. It looks different in ortho or endo or 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 anywhere patients are seen. How about outpatient radiology? So cardiac arrest doesn't care.
Yeah, correct.
Where it happens. So to your question, what does it look like in the ER? It looks a lot different than it does on a medical surgical unit on night shift on Sunday night, at 3 a.m. It's completely different. And really, that's why I do what I do, because I think that our legacy education that we've all been used to having since the beginning of time, it does create a one-size-fits-all training methodology, and it does not translate to practice, excuse me. So clinical verification requires the people you work with the equipment you actually use, in the space where you work. And so that the beautiful Yanni music, choreographed beautifully. Well, that's what cardiac arrest should look like, regardless of where it happens. So that's a long answer to your question, is what does it look like in the ER? It looks down and dirty, hard and fast. They got this. And then we stabilize it and we pass them on.
You're making excellent point. You're saying there is uneven training between the ER and the rest of the units, the rest of the departments. So they don't get enough training. They may not be able to get all the exposure that they need. So they need to be trained, because, as you said, the cardiac arrest doesn't care where people get it. So it could be in the rehabs when they're doing some rehab session, or something like that, different place. So they need to be trained. All of them need to be trained equally in the situation with the cardiac arrest, right?
Well, yeah, but if you let's break it down and think about it. Does their training different? Does their training look any different where they work? No, we all have the same requirement. The basic life support is the same for a transporter as it is for a CNA, as it is for a surgeon. Yeah. Basic life support is the basic life support. It's the same class. Same with ALS. When you do advanced cardiac life support, it's the same class, whether you're in the ICU, whether you're a flight nurse, a medic, or again, a physician of some sort. So the classes are the same. The classes don't know where you work. So what does that mean? It means in order to be skilled and stay on top of your game, by sheer volume alone, of course the ER and the ICU are going to see a lot more cardiac arrest and or any other life emergency, anaphylaxis or respiratory arrest. But what about everywhere else? Low frequency, high risk, same exact training. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense.
Let us talk about everywhere else. He said a little bit, talk about the rural areas. You may not like to answer the question, but rural areas, how they get the training? Do they get enough training, like qualified training? Who are the people who provide training in those rural areas? American Heart Association or the American Red Cross? What are the usual vehicles that provide training for those rural nurses and rural healthcare staff?
So it's the same answer. So anywhere in the history of, I'll speak for the United States, it's a bit different around the world, but not much. They get the same exact courses. It doesn't matter who's the provider, whether it's American Heart or American Red Cross and or whomever. The education is the same. The education is the same. So once again, whether you're rural or you're at a huge resource heavy educational center, with tons of residents and tons of resources, the education is the same. And honestly, the rural hospitals, they're far more apt to say, you know what, we don't feel prepared. We don't feel prepared. Can you help us? Where the bigger resource, really heavy places like, oh, we've got this. And guess what? They don't have it, because the training is the same. Even our new systems where they say that they'll come in and they train quarterly. They train quarterly on a machine, in the closet in the hospital somewhere, where it's compressions and airway only. And by the way, the majority of humans that mess with that machine can't pass it. So it leaves a lot of people very deflated and feeling like their skills are not up to par. And then I'm not so sure. I like more practice. I love that. And I love the feedback. But if you ask me, I think the rural hospitals, they get the same education as if you were in the big city. And I think they tend to be more concerned about it themselves. And they almost seem to take a few more extra steps on their own than do the bigger cities.
That's a good news, at least. Let me ask you about the equipment availability. There's right now standalone systems like AEDs or defibrillators all over the the POCs and CTs involved. We did not do that in a great job about that, installing these AEDs all over the cities, all over rural communities, outside of the hospital. They should do that, because we have the heart disease, cardiac arrest is one of the biggest killers, right? So why we're not aggressively approaching that problem, installing these AEDs and all those things across the country outside of the hospital system?
Well, I think we are. I think we're making leaps and bounds. I mean, there's lots of AEDs out there. There's lots of AED companies out there, and they are getting into areas where people are spending more time. Out in where sporting events are, out in the municipalities and their parks, and in their parks are everywhere. We are seeing them everywhere. Listen, they're expensive. They're expensive. So it's not easy to put them there, but they're meant to be, inside the hospital, we're supposed to be shocking in 2 minutes or less. In the community, we're meant to be shocking in 3 minutes. So you're supposed to have an AED within 3 minutes of a human, no matter where you go. Yeah. So the bottom line is like everything else, Romana, the money. It's about the money. The more money you have, the more AEDs you can have. And then I frankly have, kind of my new platform. It's not my new platform, but my new thing I'm complaining about to the whole wide world is I'm asking anyone, that would like my help. We continue to repeat the statistics that it's closer to 80%. It's between 70-80% of cardiac arrests happen at home. Yeah. But really nobody's picking up that home market. What's going on with you AED people? It's like, it grows to me that we're not marketing to the home, which is where they are. And then of course, they do need a bit of training, but that's okay. I have a whole community version of CodePRep for people at home. So it is getting better, Romana. And then we have stuff like the Citizen CPR Foundation, the Heart Safe Communities. It's a free resource where we can help train your entire city amongst hands-only CPR. And there's 13 whole parameters. It's fantastic.
One of my goals is that actually, that's my dream, is one of the things before you kick the bucket. I want to do this cardiac program in rural India, where my father was practicing as a doctor, a small village doctor. I think I want to install this is cardiac program, cardiac restart program, this kind of thing. Install this. Every village should have at least one defibrillators there. Every small village, even 500 people, 1,000 people there. So they need to have access to this one and get trained. Like a couple of people should be trained on this. A few people to be trained on this kind of things. Is a globally, we are way, way behind. United States way advanced about that. But globally, there's a cardiac disease is growing leaps and bounds, unbelievable amount of a catastrophe in making in India, because we have a genetic problem, we have there's food problems, all these the lifestyle situations, people working on the computers all the times. So that is creating a huge problem in this cardiac side. That is one area in 20 years from now, India is going to face, one of the largest countries that we're going to face humongous pressure on the cardiac and the diabetic side. That is really the world needs huge people like you. The trained is global training we require, and it's not. I think that is going to be the next phase of revolution, is the access to this kind of a cardiac arrest.
Absolutely. So we'll go to your village and we'll shock them.
Shock them. We'll be happy there. That's I wanted to ask you one more question. Is the last, I know you don't like it, but what is that rural side that is they have enough money for buying equipment and they have enough money to buy equipment, defibrillators, all their equipment is updated in the when you go visit the hospitals. Is it big difference between the hospitals equipment updating and they don't have the state-of-the-art equipment? So tell me about the different hospitals have a different levels of equipment is there, or all of them are same standardized equipment?
It's a great question. So, I'm very fortunate. I've been training in a lot of hospitals lately. And I'm never, well, I should say, I continue to be surprised at what they have and then the diversity of what they have. So, it's such a good point, Romana, because we in a lot of the larger areas or more fortunate areas, we have the newest and best defibrillators with the fancy pads that have more than one function, triple functioning high dollar pads. And then, there'll be a random doc that will have a problem, getting a patient out of a particular rhythm, and they'll want to go back to the paddles. And so when I hear that, I'm like, okay, so, either they're an older physician, or perhaps they come from a very rural area or another country where they're more used to using the paddles. And that runs home because they don't all have the same model. I mean, within some of the hospitals, the rural hospitals I go to, they have 2 or 3 different models. So when I go to train them, I've got to learn a different, model of defibrillator. And some of them, I saw one in a dental office. I didn't even know what it was. It looked like Frankenstein machine. I mean, I was like, how does this thing work? But to your point, it's almost like a diet. It doesn't matter what kind it is. They'll work. You just have to use it, and you have to have the courage and the comfort level with using it. So it doesn't matter what kind of defibrillator is, if it's new or if it's old. What matters is they know how to use it and they have the confidence to use it. So people are forever trying to, help me, have me help them sell some kind of advanced gadget. And I'm like, you know what? If we can get them to use their hands, their eyes, and their brains, we'll be in good shape.
Excellent.
So yes, I want AI to help me and all these high tech everything to help me. But frankly, we use, especially with CodePRep, we use whatever they have, have.
I think one of the things, as you said, that hands and eyes, and one of the things. Actually, I did something interesting in your area one time, long time ago. One of the doctors, radiologists in Fort Myers, had the X-ray machine from Second World War, and from a Navy ship. Okay, from Navy, he got it. What I did was, at the time, I was a young guy and I was doing a lot of new things. I installed a digital detector without changing even the machine. I put the digital detector of the X-ray machine, and we did a pack system, and then we push it to the images to the radiologist from a Second World War X-ray.
Wow.
So you can combine all these new technologies, new training, all those things really can help. Is actually, you need to have that confidence, and there is a way to do it. If there is a will, there is a way.
You have to be able to recognize the problem, call for help, and act. And and that's it. Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what equipment you have, and if you don't have any equipment, that's okay too. We go back to your hands, your eyes, and your brains, and we can do what we can do. And the rural hospitals are no different. We just use whatever they have.
One of the things is that I place a lot of doctors around the rural areas under a special program called J1 Visa. J1 Visa is a program that is foreign doctors who are trained in this country. They could stay in the small areas, small towns for 3-4 years. They get the green card. That's why I place a lot of cardiologists around the country, including California. There's a lot of rural areas like Fresno and Bakersfield. I place a lot of cardiologists, and then a lot of. But there's no program like that for nurses. Nurses are more critical in these areas. So what do you think of, there is a program like that? Are there plenty of nurses there trained in this area? You can go to any place in the United States. There is a shortage of demand. There is plenty of that. What is the state of the affair among the population wise in the availability of the nurses?
Okay, so it's a tricky question because if it were only nurses, wouldn't that be just divine? If we addressed nurses and nursing knowledge for cardiac arrest response, we would make a big dent, right? Because there's a pile of us. We are definitely the largest healthcare profession that there is in our country and globally. So if we did nurses alone, we would make a big dent. However, that's not realistic. I mean, it depends on who's there, right? So what I push heavily in both CodePRep and Reaction Ready is the critical reinforcement of RescueRN 2 and 3. And that does not have a job description attached to it. It's if you're there and you find the person, you're up. So when I originally started this, I was, as a nurse creator, nurse founder, nurse entrepreneur, focusing on nurses only, but it's not practical. It's everybody. It's the CNAs. It is the transporters. It's the PAs, the NPs. It's, oh my God, radiology, respiratory, PT, OT, the non-clinical teams, they get trained as well. They can do hands-only CPR. They get trained in recognition. It really takes a community. It takes a system to save a life. So I'd say the state of affairs for nurses is the same it is for everybody else I just noted. We are all stuck in this, in this foundational knowledge of, you take this class once every 2 years and that should be good enough. Good luck. Going back to work. Good luck.
Let me ask you second part of your job, which is the contrast media that when you're in the radiology situations, which we used to give a contrast for the brain CT scan or MRIs. We used to give a contrast to them. So in the beginning days, in the 80s and 90s, you don't need a doctor. But in the 2000 after that, they said that you need a doctor, you need a nurse to give all these requirements came in. Because you need a cash card up there, all those things that came in. It is. I saw very few. I mean, I didn't see personally any reactions. But tell me a little bit about that. What are the dangers of the contrast media can cause, and then why they should be prepared for this? Radiology departments need to be prepared for this.
So first of all, the contrast media has come a really long way. I mean, a really long way from even just a handful of years ago. They're changing the how the size, they're changing the thickness of it. They're changing, the osmolality of it. It's getting, everything gets better with time, of course. But what's happened, of course, is our humans are sicker, and there's a lot more doses going into humans around the world. So there's just millions of doses every day. Can you imagine the volume? And CT is the highest, and then MR is second. And now look at sonography. Sonography, the kind of redheaded stepchild of imaging, is growing. I mean, this is a really very fastly, exponentially growing area in medicine, and we are getting some amazing images of all kinds of cardiac. There's more that that stuff can do
without surgery, without opening, right?
Yeah.
Non-invasive way.
Yeah. So there's much more usage, and therefore much more. Okay, it's still minimal. It's still low frequency. It's very low frequency. But the fact is, when you increase your surface area of numbers, you're going to increase the surface area of adverse events. And so in so doing, if you think about, once again, we're going to go back to job descriptions. Think about the people who are in those imaging areas. There might be a radiologist somewhere in there, and then some radiology technologists or sonographers, and then a nurse or two. So we have a mix. There we go, interprofessional mix again. And frequently they're located in some crazy location that nobody really knows where that is. Like, where is MR? Where is non-invasive cardiology? Nobody knows. So you're calling a code and you're waiting 100, 1000, too late 2000. And don't even talk about being in an outpatient area where now they're having remote physicians, remote technicians. And I'm wanting to know, like, who's there with your mom?
And the mobile units are the other ones, right?
Yeah. And now we're going to give contrast media by protocol. And what if a lot of them don't even have like medications to treat? So you're giving a medication, but you don't have any medications to treat because it's beyond your scope.
Yeah.
So you have to call 911. What are you going to do until help arrives in an imaging area?
Yeah.
And I'll say the same thing, frankly. I mentioned the dentist office just a little bit ago. I've been doing some consulting in dentist offices. I mean, anywhere there's sedation in the dentist office. Think about, you have the one dentist and then the techs that are around the dentist, and you've been given sedation. Now you're having a reaction to that sedation.
Yeah. Cash card is a very requirement. Even when I was.
They don't have scratch cards. They have AEDs.
AEDs, yeah. So all of them is important now. It's not like before. They need to be well prepared for this contrast media, because, as you said, the numbers are growing, and there will be some adverse effects is going to be there. Since you're talking about, since you're talking about, contrast media has a quantum nature, because that is isotopes. It came from nuclear physics. I'm going to talk with you about that a little bit. And then I'm going to talk about that you may like it, actually, on the side. You let me bring you on the side. Actually, all the nuclear isotopes are quantum-related stuff. So I'm going to talk about quantum mind and new things. So many new things going on. Unbelievable. I put a post today, is that 1985, I used to talk about the computers to the doctors. They used to laugh at me. Hey, what the computers can do in the doctor's office? Now we can't live without a computers in the doctor's office, right? Now, and when I talk about quantum diamonds, quantum physics coming to the doctor's office, people laugh at me. But I tell you, that is going to be true. That's what I'm going to talk about. For example, quantum diamonds or new sensors, outpatient sensors, you can detect single cell technology. So the variation in the cancer cell by single cell, you can do that. That is itself is a big story. I'm going to do that eventually. But anyway, that is Susan Davis, is my favorite guest. let me talk about a little bit of quantum mind. This is the one I'm talking about. Why desktop and quantum doctor's office is to be laughing stock. Now diamonds is good. Now people are laughing at it, but hold on, you'll be surprised how much is going to be changed.
Those are pretty good AI pictures you made there.
Yeah, the AI features, of course. A quantum mind is enlightening, enigmatic, confusing. If you're lost, including me, I'm lost. So don't worry about it. I'm going to play just a quick video, and then it tells you a little bit about this thing. Okay, so let me play this one, and you will get it.
And here we are, the granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment, we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shoot a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So when we throw things, that is matter, through two slits, we get this, two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum. An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter, like a tiny marble. Let's fire a stream through one slit. It behaves just like the marble, a single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern. We fired electrons, tiny bits of matter through. We get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How could pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a wave? It doesn't make sense. But physicists are clever. They thought, maybe those little balls are bouncing off each other and creating that pattern. So they decide to shoot electrons through one at a time. There is no way they could interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a particle. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits and it goes through neither. And it goes through just one and it goes through just the other. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this. So they decided to peek and see which slit it actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched. And it was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange, never world of quantum events. What is matter? Marbles or waves? And waves of what? And what does an observer have to do with any of this? The observer collapsed the wave function simply by observing.
That is the let me go back, let me take it out, this one. Yeah. So this is the, oh no, where is that? Yeah. Okay. Let me bring it back, this my scene. Yeah. Okay. So this is that is an observer situation, is a very strange, right? Observer means you and me watching that. It makes, so when is that collapse happen? When is that, when you, the moment you're watching, it is going to happen, or what is this happens? All these things are very confusing to a lot of people. Further, to add a confusion more, there's another experiment. It's called delayed choice experiment. It's called. It's a John Wheeler proposed this thought experiment. It is actually a quasar, a light coming from 10 billion years ago. They coming to our Earth. But the strange thing is, this, according to the Einstein, these galaxies are actually like lenses. I tell you about that we can talk about that later. They work like lenses, so it can go to the other side, or it can go this in the bottom. It goes both ways. It bypasses and emerge at our place. So the light avoids, because space-time, it follows some space-time curvature and bends and then go to our detector. But the strange thing in this place is the place that you put together is already left a long time ago, 10 billion years ago. The light left, but it is deciding whichever way you put the detector. If you put the left side in the bottom side, the light comes to the bottom side. If you put the right side in the top side, it comes on the right side. It is the position of your detector, the time you're putting the detector is deciding. Just a minute. Where is the last? I don't see. Let me bring. What has happened? Oh yeah. Okay. The last minute, the detector that you're putting, which side of the Earth, is deciding the change of the path. So the past is changing. You're changing the past. Future is changing the past. Semantics, is revealing something strange. Past is not a past. It's not rigid. That is what he's saying. This double choice, delayed choice, double slit experiment is 100 years old. It is such a strange phenomena that I'm going to throw you much more in worse situation. Now let us talk about Schrodinger's cat, another cat. Let us talk about this cat. I don't know whether Susan likes cats or not, but I hope she likes it. But I hope it's not going to give her.
I love kitties.
So Susan is watching a cat in the box. This is a Schrödinger, a nuclear physicist from Austria, suggested this idea. It's a thought experiment. You put the cat inside the box and they put a radioisotope there, because of quantum event. The radioisotope, we don't know when it's going to be delivered and kill. The cyanide kills the cat. But for an outsider, Susan watching the box, she doesn't know whether the cat is dead or alive. So until she opens up. So what the quantum physics is saying, it is a both. The quantum physics saying that is the both cat is dead and alive same time. When she opened the box, it decides whichever way. We don't know which. It is a no preference. It is a we can force the preference. It automatically decides either the cat is going to be dead or the cat is going to be alive. That is a strange. It's a preposterous. What is that? What is that anything to do with the Susan, that whether cat is alive or not? That is that is a world. Is a very strange quantum physics idea. That is, it is when you expand into the bigger macroscopic objects like a cat's. That is a question we don't know the answers. So observation, is it change? Is it dying before she opened the box, or at the moment of the opening the box, the cat is dead? We don't know. That is called a measurement problem in the physics. Now, adding more confusion to that, it's called a beginner's friend. So Susan is in the outside of the box. I watching from outside. I am the one watching outside. Susan and the cat, all of them on my quantum system for me. I don't know if it's Susan and cat is alive or Susan and cat is dead. Susan is happy, cat is alive. Susan is sad, cat is dead. Those two states are also quantum for me. They're both are existing same time. So until she informs me, this is the problem we have. This is called beginner's friend. It's a quantum paradox. It's almost paradox because we don't know. Their entire system is a quantum to me, outsider. So I have until I open the box, there is something is going to, one of those events is going to happen to me without my input, without even Susan's input. It is one of those things is going to come to the reality. That's the strangest events that you can imagine. So this is further extended to much more worse than. So if you have a bunch of people are watching all of us, me, they're watching Susan, we're all in the different worlds, they're watching us. What they eventually what it does is the same event, the cat, some people decide cat is dead, some people say cat is alive. It's not real. If the event happened, the cat, some people cat is dead, some people cat is alive. It doesn't make any sense because there's only one cat. How can you have some people one incident is that cat is dead and some people think the cat is alive? It doesn't make any sense. This is called paradox. It is a bigger problem for the quantum physics. So this is called Roger-Renner paradox is called. So eventually quantum physics is a greatly it works, but it is also creates a contradicts itself, but it works beautiful. So we don't understand that is a word. Now, some of the solutions for this, people said that, oh yeah, it can happen. So all of them are going to the different universes. When cat is alive and Susan is happy, she's in one universe. When the cat is dead and Susan is sad, she's in another universe. I will get one of those universes. Doesn't This is a true because they don't know each other. That Susan, this Susan have no communication with each other. These are two different universes they live in. They know absolutely no communication. They don't know they exist even each other. This is a quantum realities. So it creates an infinite number of universes. It creates for every outcome, every possibility. That's called a multiverse. Okay, so that is one of the theories that proposed it. There's a lot of controversies about it. Then there is another doctor, Dr. Donald Hoffman, is a PhD doctor, he's a scientist, cognitive scientist, came back with another idea, another theory that he came back with a mathematical framework with Chetan Prakash as a mathematician from Cambridge, moved to both of them are University of Irvine, California, right here. So what they proposed is much more crazier. They said that nothing is real. Susan is not real. I'm not real. Nothing is real. We're all objects on the laptop. We are like a conscious agents. We are. Me and Susan are conscious agents watching all the objects that we don't have access to reality. We only have access to some kind of a strange reality that like icons. If you look at the task box on the computer laptop, There is no trash box. That is the transistors moving and doing electronics. That is reality, right? But do you think there is a trash box or the trash can on the laptop? But there's no trash can. It is actually all the electronics, the pixels, all of them create the trash can. So reality, we know you don't think about reality, right? We don't think in transistors. We don't think about computer electronics. We think about trash can on the screen. So it's called fitness function. What he says that the survival humans don't need to survive humans. You don't need to know the reality. You don't have access to reality. You don't need it. Humans to survive, you're not eaten by lions. Survival doesn't require you to know the truth. Your intuition, you don't need a intuition. You don't have the mind for the quantum physics. You don't need the to survive. You don't need the quantum physics to understand the quantum physics. You don't need the brain for that. You don't have the brain for that to understand, because that is a fitness function. It beats the truth. Your fitness function is to survive your day-to-day life. To that, you never get access to the truth. So they proved mathematically, Chetan Prakash, they proved it. So we don't know the exact truth, really, what is the reality there. What we see is icons, the virtual reality for us. All the reality or the strangest reality we see. That's everybody. We may not have even bodies. Our body is a conscious agent. We think we have bodies. So everything is just a virtual, a conscious agents we are. Is a patterns of some consciousness. We don't know, understand it. Is a conscious agents we are. We are accessing all the chairs and in three-dimensional chairs, three-dimensional coffee, coffee cup and all these things. All are imaginary kind of a strange reality that is a virtual reality that we are accessing. That is came from cognitive science. Now there is a completely entirely different field. Is a quantum physics, theoretical physics from black holes is coming from is the Von Maldacena and Leonard Susskind. Actually, I met Leonard Susskind from Stanford, one of the greatest scientists. They came back with this amazing theory that is actually we are projections from the surface of the universe. We are not real. We are played by movies, playing on the surface of the universe. We are being played. But there's a contradiction. Is a very confusing. Actually, if you want to add more confusion, I can tell you. The contradiction is that we are project our information. We are 3D features. Is actual hologram is two-dimensional to three dimensions, right? Hologram is you take a plate and then put that hologram. It becomes a three-dimensional. Is a graphics. It's a hologram is two-dimensional to three-dimensional transformation. So what is universe is doing is creating all humans, all the earths and planets. All of them are projections from a 2D, two-dimensional. We are all projections of the surface of the universe. A movie is being played on the surface of the universe. But the problem is, they said that the content, where is this content movie came from? Who is the actor? Who is the subject? That is the biggest confusion, because so they say our information went inside there. So who is the subject? Who is the object? That's like a chicken and egg. We don't know. That is a paradox itself. So holographic principle is actually gaining a lot of momentum in the theoretical physics. It came from completely different field, theoretical physics. That is a cognitive science. The brain science is telling us that we are all not real, virtual. We are conscious agents. And then these black holes are telling us entirely different things. Black holes and the universe, and they have similar features. So this is also they're telling something, we are not real. So reality is playing a very strange role. So all of them. Then we came back with the mind itself, quantum mind. I'm going to talk about this. David Bohm is a nuclear physicist. This guy, one of the most respected physicists in the world. He died, he passed away in England. He was from Brooklyn. What he did was he created a new theory with the Indian guru Krishnamurti. Is from my where I'm from, state where he's come from. long time ago. He came from Ojai, California. In San Diego, he put an ashram there. He was a spiritual teacher, very well-known teacher. He used to be friends with David Bohm. They did a lot of things together. Then one of the problem in the quantum physics is double slit experiment we're talking about. Is it this particles are wave, or what is this wave or particle? We don't know. And then what is the thought is something to do, what is observation is anything to do with it. So David Bohm came up with the new kind of a new mathematics, new order is called implicate and explicate order. That is a thought. Implicate means we're all one and the same. There's no difference between all of us. We think we are different, with different races, different countries, different regions. We're all separate ourselves. So there is a ocean there. There's I am here on my earth. I'm sitting on the chair. All these are separated. A thought separation. That's what he thought. Implicate order is only one consciousness. Explicate order is all your things, these things coming out of the thought. Thought creates these separations. It's kind of a Christianity there. Thought is a sinner in that sense. You're sinners because all these thoughts creating a separation. Then the thought itself, you can reverse it back. What Jiddu Krishnamurti says that thought itself, by using thought, you can also understand one mind. That's a one consciousness. So thought can be both ways. You can do that as a medium. A thought, you can do everybody think like everybody is separate. You can do everything is separate from each other. That is the one way to look at it. And the thought also, you can create a thought that says, say that is, this is not just an abstract science. You create a mathematical model, quantum physics model. The David Bohm is one of the most respected nuclear physicists. So you took the idea from philosophy of Jiddu Krishnamurti, JK, they call him JK. I met him actually in Montreal. They came back with the same idea of the thought itself is a very strange concept. But anyway, that is it. That is then Roger Penrose is another physicist from England, Oxford. Then Stout Amaroff is an anesthesiologist from Phoenix. They came back with a new thing they both thought. They said that loving somebody. Oh, I love Susan. I love red. I see red, color green. All these things are or the feelings that what they're saying. It is not it cannot compute it. It is a quantum traits. These are the traits of loving somebody, loving my son, loving my daughter, loving my children. Is all seeing red, seeing green. All these are qualities. Qualia is came from the quantum nature of the physics, quantum nature. What they proposed is that orchestrated objective reduction, a philosophy that is in the brain, in the neurons, there is a microtubules. We do a quantum computation there. Quantum things happens if we collapse the wave function, reality becomes there. It becomes a strange. It becomes something we see. Loving somebody or seeing red. All things happen in the quantum world of the brain inside the neuron. They created orchestrated objective real. Recently, they have a very two. One of my good friends, Anirban Bandyopadhyaya, he was the one of the guys that is actually gave experimental evidence for this kind of a theory. And that recently, super radiance, the cells in the brain, they are coordinating each other. There is a quantum. They're exhibiting a quantum nature, because it's impossible. We are macroscopic objects. We have a warm. We have wet. Quantum should not happen in this kind of a warm temperatures or the macroscopic objects, but it's happening. Something which nature found a subway system to execute quantum systems. We are doing the quantum system inside our brain. That's what these two people suggested it. So it's getting more and more confusing, more and more. Who is right? Who is wrong? It is you are in la la land. Then you have a neural networks of AI. It is exhibiting very strange qualities now. It is the AIs are exhibiting jealousy. It is exhibiting anger. It is exhibiting competition. So then you add that one neural networks exhibiting all these LLMs, and then you add a quantum computers to that, I don't know what can happen. We become a superhumans or we perish. As we are in the strange world of quantum nature, the reason I said that is a quantum physics is coming to our doorstep in every way. It's a practically it works. We know it works, but that's why, this is one of the confusing things. The Richard Feynman, the physicist, said that if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand quantum physics. The best way to understand, if you the only thing you realize is that if you realize about quantum physics is that you never understand that quantum physics. It works, but you never understand quantum physics. That's where you have to accept it. That's what he said. Our brains are not tuned to understand it. That's what basically he was saying. But I like this quote from Rabindranath Tagore. He is a Nobel laureate. He won in Gitanjali poetry. He's a poet. He wrote this beautiful saying, "Drunk with the joy of singing, I forget myself and call the friend who ought my love." Rabindranath Tagore is a Bengali poet. He wrote this. What he's saying is the obstacles between yourself and the Lord, you can call Lord or consciousness, whatever you want to call, whichever way, melt away in the presence of a creative joy. So we are the best thing to do for us, you and me, to really create creative ideas always. That's why I do all these podcasts and everything. It is really a joy to melt away the differences. Thank you for watching. Let me bring my good friend Susan there. What do you think, Susan?
Woo! Okay, so I love this stuff. Like I should have been a quantum physicist. I just don't have the brains that you do, but I enjoy it. I dabble. I read as much as I can get my hands on. I loved it. I think it was a mouthful. It was a mindful, but I think you wrapped it up so very beautifully with that quote in the end. And I think ultimately, isn't it about us forgetting ourselves?
Yeah,
I think less is more in less is more in cardiac arrest. The algorithms tend to throw everybody off. They're all worried about the algorithms when really it just goes back to your hands and your eyes and your mind, like we said earlier. And
yeah.
quantum physics it's not hard. It's only hard if you think about it too much. Like if you just let it be what it is, it's if you're
That
not
is
looking at it, it's a wave, and if you're looking at it, it's a particle, and it's a hard concept to get. And I think you did a brilliant job, and I love how you bring in so much of that research, and we get introduced to those brilliant scientists that I never would have seen or met before. So I thank you so much for it, and I love the topic.
Thank you so much. Just it is people like you that watching and helping this podcast. Otherwise, a one-way communication would have been. The quantum physics is such a confusing subject, but it is coming to our doorstep, and it is coming to the day-to-day life. All the electronics, all the computers, all the cell phones work on the quantum physics. We have to accept this magic as it is, and sometimes that creative joy and creativity, and you think about your duty, and that's one of your best examples, Susan. That with all these the trials and errors going on in your life, about the three hurricanes, and you're moving around. I'm a jittery by different place. I'm doing today podcast, but you don't have the even a place to live. One time you were in an Airbnb, you were doing and going to work. That is a dedication. That is a creative joy. That is what it creates a humans special. Thank you for joining. Stay until Thank you for joining. I'm always enjoyed your presence. You are my regular guest, and I love your presence and your wisdom. Susan.
Thank you, Romana. It's always I love it. Even though it's midnight, I still it's not midnight. It's close. But I think my parting thoughts are, I really wish more of your audience, more of my audience, more of anyone that ever gets to meet you and or myself would realize really what a blessing not even understanding, just playing with the idea of quantum physics, because it's really, really, really refreshing compared to what's happening in this 3D world and all the distractions that we have as humans on the daily. If you play around with a little quantum physics, if you want to visit that nothing space, you could just get into some meditation, and it's so healing, and it's such a wonderful treat to escape this 3D world and get into the quantum world, it's something you should try. And it's not such a weirdo place. It's pretty cool. So
Thank you
for that.
Thank you for coming on the show. You're always wonderful guest to me. Thank you all. Good night. Stay hang on for a couple of minutes, Susan. I talk with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good night, all of you. Good night.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it